Relator is a fantastic theme. I don't have it. It's number 25 for me, but we get to hear from an awesome guest today, all the way from Manila in the Philippines. Ryan Salvanera is going to be with us in a moment. Before we hear from Ryan, I'd like to just give you a quick overview of Relator. Follow along with that companion guide. I promise you'll find it useful. The first thing you're going to find on that companion guide, and by the way, Relator is right now, I think, our last of our relationship building themes. We might have a couple to come back to catch up, but it's really going to round out that idea of the relationship building themes as they relate to the strengths-based leadership domains. The first thing you'll find on that companion guide is the long definition of Relator, and just a few pieces I want to pull out when we talk about Relator. It is that theme that's about having a close inner circle of people. I think it's probably pretty misunderstood because people see the term Relator and instantly think, oh, I must just be relating all over the place, super relatable. It's not necessarily that. Really, Relator is about a selectivity, a depth of relationship, a connection with other people that is more about longevity and real genuine sincerity, looking at how do we have really a great inner circle that we can cultivate deeper relationships with and that also give us a lot of energy. A few of the key phrases in that long definition: your Relator theme pulls you toward people you already know. You are comfortable with intimacy. You encourage a deepening of the relationship. For you, a relationship has value only if it is genuine. You'll hear a lot of those words like genuine, authentic, sincere. These are your steps toward real friendship, is risking with other people, going to places that others might find too deep or might find even a place of vulnerability. You tend to be comfortable with that. I actually pulled out that phrase, you're comfortable with intimacy. And I've been thinking about this in preparation for Relator this week. It's a pretty bold statement to make. I have some of my best friends have high Relator. I'm married to a Relator. And I think that it is one of the most attractive things about Relators is that comfort with really going there, being real and honest and raw with other people. You're not going to do it with everybody. If you've got high Relator, you're not going to walk into a room and say, hey, let's all be vulnerable. It is more about having those quiet moments with the people who you truly trust, who trust you in return, and having those, being bold enough to take the risk to go there with those folks who you're closest to is really what strengthens those relationships. I often think that people with Relator can even see deeper levels of relationships maybe than other people can, or maybe than other people do. I would compare that to a theme like futuristic, where with futuristic, you're noticing potential in the future that other people might never think of. Think about Relator on that same token. You are seeing levels of intimacy, levels of closeness, levels of friendship. You can imagine them being there. You can go there with comfort, whereas other people may never even realize that option was out there. And so you willingly take those steps with the people who you're closest to. If you're a leader with Relator, let's talk about what that might look like. I think what it is it's enhancing the depth of understanding within a team. Think about that as an individual contributor. If your Relator gives you that lens on how genuine a relationship can be, how much deeper, how much closer a relationship can be, imagine then the effect that can have on a group of people who you lead. It probably shows up, or it could show up as a willingness to go beyond some of those surface triggers or those surface understandings of people. Great managers, great leaders really do need to know what excites people, what makes them take action, what motivates them. I think leaders with Relator can go beyond that initial response to those questions, and they can really say, what excites you in hard situations, or what motivates you even when all the chips are down. And they're not going to stop at just that initial response, but they really are going to study that relationship, study that person. What does intimacy look like in a business context? Well, it probably is something that might take a little bit more time, but could yield very productive partnerships. Valuing the longevity of a relationship is something that could open you up to more opportunities for riskier feedback. Imagine what that would look like if you had a great partnership with other business leaders in your community or other clients. Think about being a leader in an organization who's got a really close relationship with somebody that they serve. The ability to get real-time feedback that maybe people wouldn't be brave enough to be open enough to give you otherwise. You value genuine discoveries with those people closest to you. You value hard work with the people closest to you. So you could also extend your skill set through relationships. Study the diversity of your inner circle. Be curious about who is it that you're letting in, and how could you go even deeper with a more diverse inner circle there. And I'm not saying a bigger inner circle, but how do you get to know the people who are already your closest friends? Because again, Relator is not includer. Relator is not individualization. Relator is not about, let me go out and collect more people to advise me, but how can you study the relationships that are already there? And again, take them further than maybe you would have otherwise thought about. So consider building your own personal board of directors. Not an original idea I had. This is something that comes from years of varsity management and our education training here at Gallup. This idea of having a personal board of directors, people who you trust to help you think about the direction that you're taking in your life. Think about cultivating those relationships on an even deeper level with people who bring different talents, different skills, different expertise to enhance the good, not just of your organization, but the good of the whole. You might not have the patience for glossy generalizations where emotions are concerned. You're probably not going to be okay with just asking somebody, hey, how are you doing? And them saying fine, if that's somebody within your inner circle. So don't force yourself to have patience with that. Set yourself up for relationships where you've got the time and the trust to really talk about how people are doing. You're likely not hiding your frustration with that sort of glossy generalization very well. So it's okay to raise your hand in situations where you feel safer, where you can go deeper. You don't have to force yourself to be great at small talk if you're not. Create safety by expressing how you feel about ideas or initiatives, whether that's good or bad. Again, relators might take a little bit more time to warm up to those kinds of conversations. But even if you're communicating with people outside your inner circle, and let's be honest, if you're a relator, most people in the world are outside your inner circle. I think you can still offer some of that relator talent to people you lead, to people you affect. Your people are going to be attracted to you because of that relator talent, because of the kind of, I think, authenticity that it brings, the kind of realness that it brings. You can practice that without committing to being somebody's best friend. You can do that by expressing how you feel. Spend time with those closest to you. This is a theme that needs that in order to thrive. It's not just that you're great with people around you, it's that you get better when you spend time there. Also think about expressing your long-term relationship goals. If you are mentoring somebody who you believe in, that you know you're going to stay in touch with for a long time, say it out loud. That's one of the best gifts that a relator can give to somebody, is that understanding of, hey, I see us being able to rely on each other, being able to have a friendship or a partnership together for a long time. And that might be something that you think other people know instinctively, but it's always good, I think, to say that out loud. Now let's talk about those 4 needs of followers. A leader might use the relator theme to build trust. One second. Sorry, excuse me. A leader might use the relator theme to build trust by intentionally seeking out those you're closest to and asking for their input, asking for their advice, asking for their perspective. Encourage this among other people. Oftentimes, I coach people with relator who struggle because all of a sudden they'll find themselves in a leadership position and they feel like they have to have those close relationships with everybody who counts on them. I think perhaps a more true angle toward that relator is to be able to encourage close relationships among other people. Think about celebrating times when people are working together really well. Think about how you're setting up opportunities for people to cultivate friendships outside of just with you. You don't have to be the best friend to everybody. You can be the broker of great relationships as well. And I think that's a way that you can create a following of trust behind you, is by expressing the importance that you see in relationships. You could think about building stability with Relator by revisiting your inner circle of friends. Create some togetherness moments for everybody. Think about that stability that you feel when you're with your closest advisors or your closest friends, and think about encouraging other people to do the same. A leader with Relator might show compassion by listening for raw reaction, listening for emotion. And again, you don't have to shoulder the burden. You don't have to let everybody into your circle, but give the people a chance to share it. They're going to want to, especially with you. The more they learn about your Relator, the more they learn about the importance that you put on relationships. You don't have to own all of that, just by giving somebody a chance to share it. And we'll hear from Ryan in a moment about how you can be a great coach and a great listener without having to shoulder all of the ownership of those emotions. And finally, a great leader might use Relator to inspire hope by expressing the personal stories of what a better future looks like. Share your own story of hope. Own what you've got in your past. Think about close relationships and how far that they have come. You probably have that unique lens on how the future can be brighter by asking yourself how your relationships have gotten better. So think about studying that and really putting it into a narrative form. Anytime you're talking about change, anytime you're talking about direction of where your team or your organization needs to go, make sure you add a little bit of a flavor of how those personal aspects and the personal perspectives are going to be improved with that change. I'm not so sure that was a short Micah version, but it was the introduction here to Relator. And at this point, I hope that gave you some good food for thought to fall in love with this theme as it relates to leadership.